If you live in California, you know the feeling. The traffic, the grind, it's just part of the deal. But if you've been paying attention lately, you can probably feel that something is changing.
You see it, right? Maybe the morning commute is just a little bit lighter. You drive by those sprawling office parks and notice more and more for lease signs. And you definitely hear it in conversations with friends. The ones that suddenly start with, I was just looking at houses in Texas.
It's not just in your head. There is a real shift happening. It's not just a vibe, it's a tangible change. And it all boils down to one simple, powerful action.
They're quitting. And we're not just talking about people, we're talking about entire industries. Take the auto world, a pillar of manufacturing and design. They ran the numbers on what it costs to do business in California, and they came to a pretty stark conclusion. We're done.
And look, this is not just one company having a bad quarter. This is a pattern. You can connect the dots from the car industry to energy to big tech, even to major cultural figures who are literally packing up their entire operations and heading for the exit.
And this is the part that really matters. Because when those big companies and all that money leave, the bill they used to pay doesn't just vanish into thin air. Nope. It gets passed on to everyone who's left holding the bag.
Okay, so let's get into it. Let's look at the hard evidence, starting with the auto industry. This isn't just speculation. These are the receipts. So let's start with Tesla in the Bay Area. We're talking about over 3,500 jobs cut, based on the official 2024 government filings. Now, it's easy to hear a number like that and just let it wash over you. But you got to remember, that is not an abstract number. That's over 3,500 families, 3,500 paychecks that just stopped.
And it's not just Tesla. Head south to Irvine. Ford used to have a major design and engineering hub there, a place where the future of cars was being imagined. Now, that design studio is closed, affecting hundreds of high-paying jobs. And here's the real kicker. When design and engineering jobs leave, you're not just losing today's paychecks. The entire pipeline of future innovation is leaving with them.
So you have to wonder, right? Why California? Why does it always seem to get hit first? Well, it all comes down to what you could call the high-cost calculation. When a big company needs to make cuts, they pull out a checklist. Where are our costs the highest? Where do projects get delayed the longest? And where is the regulatory risk the greatest? And time after time, California takes the top spot in all three. It's not emotional, it's just business.
So let's zoom out, because this is a statewide pattern. And believe me, it is not just about cars.
I mean, just look at Chevron. This is a company that's practically woven into the DNA of California. It's been here for generations. So when a legacy giant like that announces it's shifting its headquarters to Houston, wow, that is not just another business headline. That is a huge, flashing red light that something fundamental has changed. And it's so easy for this whole conversation to get bogged down in politics. But for the people making these calls, it's a lot simpler than that. It's a scoreboard: cost, time, and risk. And right now, when they look at that scoreboard, California just isn't competitive.
And the list just keeps on growing. Hewlett-Packard Enterprise, a Silicon Valley icon, moved to Texas. Palantir, out to Denver. SpaceX has reportedly moved its headquarters to Texas as well. And it's not just corporations, it's a cultural shift too. When a media powerhouse like Joe Rogan moves his entire operation to Texas, it sends a powerful message about where the momentum is heading.
So, what does all of this mean for you? For the regular people just trying to make it work here? Well, this is the part where the bill comes due. This is how you end up paying the price.
Here's how the ripple effect hits you. First, all those companies leave, which means way less tax money for the state. So guess who has to make up the difference? You do. Second, there are fewer good jobs to go around, so competition gets fierce. Third, the companies that do stay have higher costs, and they pass those costs right on to you at the cash register. It all just adds up to more instability and a slower economy for everyone.
And all this creates what you might call the California trap. See, the people with the most flexibility, the wealthy, the young, the people who can work from anywhere, they can just leave. But what if you have deep roots, a family, a house you've been in for decades? You stay, and all that economic pressure gets concentrated right on you.
When you step back and look at the big picture, this all adds up to something way bigger than economics. It's a full-blown identity crisis for the entire state. It's about California's brand.
And this slide really says it all, doesn't it? The brand, the reputation, used to be so simple. California is where the future is built, period. From Hollywood to Silicon Valley, this was the place to be. But now, that reputation is changing. Now it's becoming the place where the future gets started and then leaves as soon as it gets too expensive.
Now look, if you're still here, you're not wrong for staying. You've got family here, a history here, a whole life here. We get it. But you deserve to see what's really happening. This isn't just a bad month or a temporary slump. The data is clear. This is a sustained trend line.
Which all leads to the one massive question for the entire state. What is California's future? Is it still the place where amazing things are built, or has it become a really expensive launchpad for great ideas that take off and land somewhere else?
And in the end, that big question comes right back down to you, personally. Looking at this trend, looking at the costs, and looking at your own life, what's your move? Are you staying or are you going?